So about quirks, I got really inspired to make this video because of my previous one, which if you haven't already watched it, you definitely should. But yeah, I was talking about Shigaraki's backstory, and with the way he grew up, I think I've cleared up some things regarding the quirks because in My Hero Academia, I do not think there's any set in stone rule. People come up with multiple reasons for a certain character getting their quirk. Bakugo is the best example I can think of this. Some people say he got his quirk due to his parents. I don't remember necessarily what exact quirks that they have, but with their quirks combined it creates explosions, which is what gave Bakugo his quirk. And this is what I agree with in this specific case with Bakugo, but others say it's for a different reason, and that instead his quirk had been explosions because of his personality. Because he is a hot-tempered character, it's easy to draw the connection with his quirk. I can see why people think this is the case, but in this specific case I think it doesn't really make sense. I think it is a lot more likely that the reason is the first one. It makes a lot more sense as the cause is a combination of his two parents' quirks, and while in this situation it's fairly obvious, at least to me anyways, but then there's people like Shigaraki, and in his case it seemed way more influenced by his personality. If you didn't see the video I made or have not watched the episode either, be warned because I'm about to say some spoilers for it. But yeah, as I was saying, Shigaraki's case is way more personality influenced. He was heavily abused in his household, well not physically but mentally. He was always being put down by his father for his aspirations of being a hero, due to his own traumas of having a parent who was a hero as well. But on top of that, none of his family members even helped him out. None of them tried to stop Kotaro from abusing Shigaraki. We all just watched from a distance. Well, Hana, his sister, kind of did help him, and that was probably the reason he was able to hold off for as long as he did. Keep in mind, he was 5 when this was all happening, but when she had snuck him into their dad's office and showed him that picture, she snitched and said he was the one that brought her into the room. Now I'm not trying to blame Hana because she's also just a kid at this point, probably only a year or two older than Shigaraki, but that one life Shigaraki had in his life had gone out, with him being turned on by even Hana, and that was his breaking point mentally, which was why later that night things resulted the way that they did. I don't want to get into it too much though, just watch my other video for a more in-depth explanation. So Shigaraki's case is completely opposite of Bakugo's. We don't know Shigaraki's parents' quirks, but they would have at least shown some precaution if they knew that his quirk could possibly be decaying related, like how Vermilion's dad had warned him about the dangers of his quirk, because he already in advance was thinking about what his possible quirk might be, and if it would be harmful to him or anyone else. So this helps because we have very little information about this topic, but there's still no clear-cut answer to this question, so I wanted to talk about it a bit in today's video. Before that though, remember to like and subscribe for future anime videos. Alright, so another good character to analyze is Shoto. His quirk was the outcome of two people having a kid with the intentions of making a specific quirk. So at first it looks like the same scenario with Bakugo, with parent DNA being the main deciding factor, but we also can see a person's mental state at least in some capacity can influence the manifestation of the quirk, and in Shoto's case is a lot similar to Shigaraki, and what I mean by that is their upbringing. He had been isolated by his father from the rest of his family. His family did try to help though in Shoto's case, so it is similar to the isolation aspect, but it's not like he didn't have people who wanted to help him out. He grew hatred for only his father specifically. That difference might be the reason why Shoto is the way he is now. He didn't end up down the same path as Shigaraki, so yes, you could say that the result of his quirk is because of his family's DNA, but then taking the mentality aspect into consideration, you could say that him being able to balance out his hatred and learning to also care for others is like a yin-yang type of thing or something. There's no real distinctive thing that lets me figure it out. If we were to visualize it on a scale, Shigaraki's on the far end of one side being mentally influenced, while on the far end of the other side is people like Bakugo, who are heavily influenced by their genetics, but then people like Todoroki are somewhere in the middle. And when I made that skill to try to process things, it helped me come to a realization that maybe it's not directly one or the other, but in most cases a mix of both. I mean, yeah, it's possible for a person to be heavily influenced by one or the other, like Bakugo or Shigaraki, but for most cases it's a mix of both, because besides them, with any character the answer isn't so cut and dry. Koro is a great example of this, leaning more towards the mentality side of the scale. Because of his extreme shyness, he finds it hard to socialize, but for him it is easier to talk to animals, and that being the case is probably a huge factor in his quirk. Let's say theoretically that he had a personality that hated animals. It will still be an animal-based quirk, but not in the same way that it is now, where he communicates and socializes with them. Maybe more like forcing them to submit to him, or just generally not being kind to them when he's interacting with them. But yeah, that's the conclusion I came to regarding the quirk manifestation. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for future content. Peace.